We are Man vs. Meeple, and for May 1st through May 14th, this is What's Next.
Welcome back to What's Next, the bi-weekly show where David and I walk you through all the games coming out to your friendly local gaming store. I'm going to start right off into number 5, David. I have 1754 Conquest, the French and Indian War.
Yes, a mouthful indeed.
It is. Now, this game takes place in early American colonization, in which the British and the French fought for control of the Americas at the time. It's a 2 to 4 player game, and the factions are broken off into 2 different sides. You have the British and the French, and then each of those are broken off into 2 other sections. You have the British regulars and the British colonials, and then you have the French regulars and the French militia. It is an area control game. And what makes this game really, really neat is that in the game, you're using your hand of cards. Each of these different factions has their own variable player powers that will come into play, but you're using cards in order to control very specific areas within the game, both to move your troops, to combat each other, to hold forts, to muster units, and to control the harbors, all the while trying to lessen the reinforcements that come into play for the other players. Now, I've had the chance to play this already, and what I really liked about the game is that it's played through 8 rounds, but you can actually end the game after the 3rd round, because of the fact that each of these 4 different factions within the 2 sides has a movement card called a truce. And if both players or both sides play a truce card or a movement card that says truce on it within the same round, that will end the game. So you have to be you have to be wary about when you play this card, because players can end early if they have good area control within the game already.
That's fascinating.
It's a neat style game. It is driven by dice, so all the combat is dice driven within the game.
Huh. I have number 4.
Yeah.
Shifting Gears.
Yep.
Tournament at Camelot. This is from WizKids. It's a 3 to 6 player trick-taking game, but it has a variation going on here. First of all the players are going to play characters from the Camelot mythos.
Yep.
And you have player powers. So, and not only that, you have companions with those players. Now, those companions will come out after you've taken damage. So you're probably asking yourself, wait, you take damage and it's a trick-taking game? So yeah, this trick-taking game has the tricks that you don't want. So you don't want to take a trick in this one.
Right.
So you have players playing cards basically in this melee battle every round. And the cool factor here is if I play a 14 and you play a 14, those are both going to be ignored during the resolution. And the poor guy who played the 13, who would have been safe otherwise, gets stuck taking the trick. So you're basically gathering all these points, but they're damage. And as you take damage, you're going to basically you not only come closer to death, but come closer to getting your companion out. Also, there's this cool catch-up mechanic called the Godsend cards that come out for the players who are lagging behind that are kind of crazy, but really make the game fun.
We had a lot of fun playing this game.
The game is a lot of fun to play, for sure.
It's definitely got a different level of depth to it than most trick-taking games have, for sure. You have number 3 as well.
Yeah, number 3. This is from Yellow. It's Ninjaizen. This game, we had a chance to take a quick look at this at Gamma, and I've had a chance to play it a couple times since. It's basically an army of ninja, rock, paper, scissors ninjas that you're controlling. There's a line of tiles out. You have a village and I have a village. And on either side of that, we line up our ninjas. And some are rock, some are paper, some are scissors. And you're basically moving them down through dice rolling. But the dice aren't numbers. The dice you roll dictate the type of ninja you can move.
That's right.
The cool thing is you're not just moving that ninja, but if there's ninjas that are on top of that ninja because they stack, he can, if he wants, carry them along with him. So you're basically moving cards of differing types and differing numbers down your row. As soon as they meet up with your opponent's ninjas, you're basically resolving the rock, paper, scissors down the stack, or maybe you just have one. Now, that might sound simple. You might be thinking, okay, it's rock, paper, scissors, but there's actually a significant amount of depth here because you're having to sort of strategize and calculate how you want to organize your stacks. So you might move a guy and bring a couple ninjas with him, and then you break them off so that you have the exact right stack to take out his whole stack.
That's right.
Because once you get down to a scissors versus scissors, it's dictated by the numbers on the cards. But it's a really cool game. You're trying to get to the village or destroy your opponent's ninjas.
20 minutes, too.
Yeah, short game.
I have a re-release of a game. This is being reissued. It's called In the Year of the Dragon. This is the 10th anniversary edition of it by Ravensburgen's Games. We bring this onto the list for two main reasons. One, because it is a fantastic game, and we have a huge fondness for Euro games, period. But also because the designer himself.
Stefan Feld.
This is an early Stefan Feld game, and one of his very simple style games. It is basically a hand management style of game in which you are constantly battling events that can hurt you as a player. It takes place in ancient China. What's really unique about this game, for me personally, is that superficially, it looks very, it's like I said, it's a very early design it has, and it looks very simple to play, but it's got a lot of subtle nuances in the game. You are constantly trying to manage your empire so it doesn't dissolve and lose you victory points through the course of the game from all these events that come into play and are constantly beating you down.
So a lot of point loss and point, you're balancing that?
It's a great, it's a very subtle game. A lot of contingencies that you have to watch for, not only the way you build your civilization, but the way your neighbors are building theirs as well.
Cool.
I also have number one.
Number one of your favorites.
Yeah, this is not a big secret. This is going to be a huge title. It is Star Wars Destiny, Spirit of Rebellion. It is the first big box expansion for the game. We've already gone into a review of why this game is so special. It is a CCG style game built in the Star Wars universe that uses dice. What's great about this game, and I'll say it again, it's such a simple game to learn. When you get into a CCG style of game, you're often tasked with learning all these nuances of the game, all these different things that can come into play, and then having to keep up with those through the progression and cycles of the releases. This is very simple to play, which makes it great for both casual players, but also there's a huge hidden amount of depth in this game as well. There's a lot of different factions, a lot of different decks that are viable in a competitive atmosphere as well. And this one has Rogue One stuff, which is going to be great for players that love Star Wars, and then we're bringing the Emperor into it as well with his vast amount of powers.
That's what's exciting about this whole property, is waiting to see when they bring certain things, certain parts of the property into the mix, which is really, really cool. And it's, of course, Star Wars. So
make sure you guys watch the ticker below. We have a whole list of games coming out. You can also come to our website to check out what's coming out in these next 2 weeks. Let's talk about the Friendly Local Game Store.
This week we have something a little bit different. This isn't a huge store. This is a small store that packs a lot of punch. It's Here Be Books and Games. And when I say Here Be, it's not Here Be like a last name. It's Here Be Books and Games, like the old English. So this is they're in Summerville, South Carolina, owned by Tina and Tim McDuffie. And, of course, it's right there in the name, Books and Games. They have over 30,000 used books, including a lot of RPG books. So it's not just a bookstore, though. They've got a ton of games. In fact, their motto is, we'll teach you any game, basically. So they have a library of 500 games that they have that people can try out. So they really want to, I mean, like a lot of the stores that we've featured, they want to bring people in, and if people are intimidated by, like, I don't know if I would want to play that, how do you even play it? They will sit you down and play it with you. You know, so it's a nice little store that is jam-packed full of content.
Yeah, it also shows that gaming stores don't have to be just gaming stores to draw an audience. I think this would be a good place for my wife to go, who loves to play board games, but she loves the books just as much, right? If she wants to come in and casually read a book off to the side while I get a game in with friends,
exactly.
It's a good store.
I really like the trend we're seeing where it's not just a game store. You know, you've got the cafes, you've got the breweries, you've got, I think books make a natural fit as well. So Here Be Books and Games down in Summerville, South Carolina. Check it out.
If you guys have any questions, make them in the comments below. Come back in 2 weeks because we have a phenomenal list of games, and I mean phenomenal list of games that are coming out in the next 2 weeks as well. And check us out always on Man vs. Meeple. Subscribe to us, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and everything else that we do. And we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.